In 1993, the city of Portland expanded the Oregon Convention Center urban renewal area northward along Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Alberta Street. Urban renewal funds have helped revitalize these corridors through grants and loans to businesses, streetscape improvements, and redevelopment projects like Vanport Square, Kings Crossing, Henry V, and the Beach Street office building. But through the years, property and business owners just outside the urban renewal area have asked PDC about expanding the boundary to other nearby areas in need, and to fill in any gaps in the boundary. The goal is to reshape the urban renewal district so that it's more fair and makes more sense. At the north end of the corridor, this would involve expanding urban renewal northward along Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard to Lombard Street, and eastward to the Woodlawn Triangle, encompassing about 33 acres. The Woodlawn Triangle has seen a new wave of investment in the past few years, thanks to its small town feel and historic buildings. PDC has given a limited amount of general funds for small businesses here, including a storefront grant to the Firehouse Restaurant, a business loan to Classic Foods, and 6 other grants or loans. But nestled among these new investments are additional opportunities and challenges. Local developers have plans for some of the vacant buildings and lots in the Woodlawn Triangle, but they don't have the financing to build them. However the neighborhood grows, neighborhood residents have expressed a desire to revitalize in an inclusive, grassroots fashion that respects the diversity of the neighborhood. Just over a half-mile south of the Woodlawn Triangle is an area where zoning created some tough challenges. Northeast Killingsworth Street, between 14th and 17th Avenues, was once the hub of the Vernon neighborhood. But a rezoning from commercial to residential in 1993 meant that any vacant storefronts were tough to fill. Luckily, the decision was reversed in 2008, bringing this 3-block area back into commercial zoning. But today, many of the buildings here remain vacant or in disrepair, including this 2-story building, home to a music store and barbershop, this boarded-up gas station, and this 1-story commercial building, which was briefly used as a campaign office for President Obama. Several property owners here have approached PDC about extending the urban renewal area here. Because urban renewal districts must be contiguous, a cherry stem from Alberta Street would be required to reach it. The properties here total about 6 acres. 3 blocks south of Killingsworth is Alberta Street, a corridor that has changed quite a bit in the past decade. Storefront improvements have spruced up buildings, and entrepreneurs have redeveloped vacant land and buildings into restaurants, coffee shops, galleries, and other popular businesses. The vibrant art scene along the street culminates each month in the last Thursday celebration. But the successes along Alberta are only one side of the story. For one thing, the character of new development along Alberta has not always matched the demographics of the neighborhood, and some longtime residents feel left out of the picture. Additionally, there are still quite a few vacant buildings and lots along the street. Expanding urban renewal along Alberta speaks to a neighborhood desire to have more equitable opportunities. Today, the urban renewal boundary here is somewhat confusing. Starting at Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, properties along Alberta are in the urban renewal area until 7th Avenue, then they're out from 7th to 11th, back in from 11th to 13th, out from 13th to 14th, then back in from 14th to 15th. The expansion study area fills these gaps and extends further east to 31st Avenue, where commercial zoning ends. All told, the Alberta study area includes about 32 acres. Our last study area in northeast Portland involves filling any other gaps in the urban renewal boundary along Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Just like Alberta Street, some properties were left out in 1993. Some of those pockets were filled in 2000 when the Interstate Corridor urban renewal area was established to the west. But gaps still exist today between Russell and Fargo streets, between Shaver and Mason streets, and in other small pockets. Properties here do not have the same access to funds for business loans, storefront grants, and redevelopment as other areas just across the street do. The area under study here fills those gaps and also extends westward along Knott Street in an area zoned for high-density housing. It includes about 41 acres total. The North-Northeast Economic Development Initiative Advisory Committee will consider the pros and cons of bringing these expansion study areas into the Urban Renewal District, while also thinking about the unfinished work within the existing boundary. Planned redevelopment projects that have yet to break ground along Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard include King Parks, a mixed-use development where Rosa Parks crosses Martin Luther King, a second and third phase of Vanport Square, which would bring additional commercial space and new housing, and Grant Warehouse, an affordable housing development at Cook Street.